You realize this is the same.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
यानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है।
अरे मेरे राजा।
सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
MDH की देगी मीरज।
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मीरज। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है।
अरे मेरे राजा।
सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
यानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visuals then and now, ladies and gentlemen. Then and now. Look at that and now. Ladies and gentlemen, a SpiceJet plane catches fire in mid-air in December. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is 19 June 2022 and then now. And you are flying at your peril in this country. The government couldn't care less. SpiceJet is a near bankrupt airline. There is a nice duopoly going on between Air India and Indigo. The politicians fly chartered planes anyway. But I want to remind them, 2nd July 2020.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार.
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने.
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो.
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा और प्योर मसाला. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार. विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला.
सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप. अरे टेंशन किस बात की. सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना. लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है. यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां.
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला. डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की. सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना. लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है. यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां.
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been.
বাইরের থেকে
After the 2-day successful visit of the Prime Minister from Jerusalem, where he takes off after the joint statement that was issued by India and Israel. On your screens right now, those moments of the Prime Minister with Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah on your screens right now. This comes after a very successful trip of the Prime Minister, in which both the leaders have essentially spoken about affirming the strategic depths of the relationship that has been shared between both the countries. The Prime Minister basically departing for India in a short while from now. Some of the big takeaways are really coming in from the visit of the Prime Minister in Israel. First, with regards to deepening defense ties and also sharing of technology being two key issues that have been spoken about. The other important aspect is with regards to free trade agreement, which both the countries have been essentially indicating that it is work in progress, with both the countries essentially looking at what could be the broad contour of the free trade agreement that is going to be signed between both the countries. In fact, there you have it, the last images coming in from Jerusalem, before the Prime Minister basically leaves for India after the trip, the 2-day trip in Israel. Well, in fact, on your screens right now, both the leaders and their personal charisma that is essentially shared from what you see, the bare hug between both the leaders. In fact, this was the same image that we saw the moment the Prime Minister basically landed in Tel Aviv, indicating the relationship that both actually share for years put together. And time and again, we have essentially seen that the personal relationship between both these leaders have translated into deepening ties of both the countries, India and Israel, in terms of on various issues where both the countries have cooperated with each other when it comes to security-related issues, or for that matter, in fact, technology transfers that have taken place between India and Israel, and now both the countries working together for a free trade agreement being worked out. So all this essentially now indicating the fact that the deepening ties between both the countries have a long future ahead. Well, in fact, we'll try and also connect with our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor, as these are the images that are now coming in of the Prime Minister who's left from Israel. In fact, we'll move on to the other big stories that we are tracking right now with regards to Well, tonight on This Is Exclusive, I come to you with three special stories. First, the spotlight is on industrialist Anil Ambani, who has appeared before the Enforcement Directorate. In fact, as we speak, the questioning is still on. But why exactly is Anil Ambani under the lens of the Enforcement Directorate? He was one of India's most celebrated billionaire. In fact, someone who has come up with various business ideas and was at one point in time seen as the world's sixth richest person with a net worth of about 42 billion US dollars. In fact, he controlled the ADAG with major interest in telecom, power, infrastructure, entertainment. And in fact, if you remember those very images of Anil Ambani walking the red carpet, it was an entry that was essentially being made by this man you see behind me into Hollywood. But what really dramatically changed, for much of the early 2000s, the ventures basically symbolized post-liberalization's ambition that even Anil Ambani had. But his dramatic downfall from a top global billionaire to bankruptcy was even driven by unsustainable debt, failed business ventures and intense competition. And primarily in the telecom sector, the company that was being run by him, that was Reliance Communication. The Enforcement Directorate has basically now stepped in after the Central Bureau of Investigation. The latest action that was taken against Anil Ambani was with regards to properties worth about 3,084 crore rupees. That's the amount, the assets that were basically attached by the Enforcement Directorate. And this was the posh Pali Hill bungalow of Anil Ambani that has been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we'll put the spotlight on what the probe documents have essentially revealed. Is there a Chinese link, or is it only about the Indian lenders? We'll take you through all the details, but first, a quick check of what we know so far.
ED's nose seems to get more tightened around Anil Ambani's neck as he appeared before the agency in yet another summoning. ED summoned Anil Ambani in connection with the 4,000 crore rupees money laundering case. This took place a day after Anil Ambani's Mumbai house worth rupees 3,716 crore was attached by the top financial crimes agency. A part of this property worth rupees 473 crore was similarly attached by the ED in November 2025. Meanwhile, a fresh case has also been registered against Anil Ambani by CBI. This after Bank of Baroda accused Anil Ambani for causing wrongful loss of 2,223 crore rupees. Further investigation also revealed that RCom and RITL took loans from SBI. Investigations revealed that loans extended to RCom and RITL were contingent upon personal guarantees provided by the Anil Ambani. CBI registered a case based on SBI's complaints regarding the alleged fraud and diversion of funds. Before the 2025 classification, other banks including Canara Bank had also flagged RCom's account as fraud. According to ED, RCom and its group's companies availed loans from domestic and foreign lenders with a total outstanding of rupees 40,185 crore. With the latest order, the total value of the attachment in this case stands at about 12,000 crore rupees. As the ED tightens the screws and assets worth thousands of crores remain under attachment. Anil Ambani's legal troubles appear far from over.
Well, in fact, taking you through some breaking news now coming in. Details of the investigation that has been carried out by the Enforcement Directorate basically indicates that the companies that have been linked to Anil Ambani received significant funding from Chinese lenders, with total outstanding dues estimated at 13,558 crore rupees. Documents essentially show that the China Development Bank, that's on your screens right now, extended about 9,134 crore rupees. The Export-Import Bank of China sanctioned about 3,048 crore rupees, and the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China provided 1,374 crore rupees borrowings that are now basically under the scrutiny as the agencies trace the broader financial trail. I'm going to stay with these images that we are putting out right now on your screen. The entire dossier that has been accessed by Republic TV, these are documents with regards to the probe that has been carried out. Let me try and explain why this is significant, because if you trace back, there was also a litigation that took place in London with regards to the loans that were extended by these Chinese banks. On your screen, we have given the bifurcation of the money that was extended. The China Development Bank, Export-Import Bank of China, as well as Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. At least three such banks. So we're talking about 13,000 crore rupees that was extended to companies linked to Anil Ambani. Now, this was in the year 2012 is when the money was given to Anil Ambani linked companies. This was the very time when Anil Ambani was basically diversifying his businesses. In fact, he also went in for financing films at that point in time. This was exactly at the period when he was taking Chinese money. Now, according to the documents that have been accessed, I'm going to go to the next breaking in a while from now. Please hold. In fact, what I'm given to understand is that from the documents that have been accessed by Republic TV, there is a clear mention of the fact that money was being diverted to China. So effectively, the companies that were getting the money from Indian lenders, in fact, what we are being told was given to the Chinese also. Now, on your screens right now, the other important aspect that we are highlighting is about whether at all there was any involvement of Anil Ambani, because all this while the statements that have been issued by companies linked to Anil Ambani is largely put the blame on the board, that it is the board that has taken all the decisions as far as these loans are concerned. Now, back in 2016, it seems that there was a personal guarantee that was given to the State Bank of India, and this is the deed that was basically signed by Anil Ambani, and it is here that you would see that Anil Ambani has actually signed that very deed, giving a full personal guarantee as far as the loan that was extended from the State Bank of India. So as far as his role is concerned, it becomes abundantly clear from this personal guarantee document that has been accessed. Now let me take you through the Chinese link that basically emerges. Now, Reliance Communication had actually taken about $925 million loan from three Chinese lenders, and that basically included the China Bank and the Chinese lenders. Let me also take you through some of the details coming in. The CDB, Exim and ICB Bank of China had extended the borrowings. In fact, we're just mixing up some of the graphics here. In fact, this is different than what the Chinese link that we're basically putting out. Anil Ambani's Chinese links, in fact, we'll just remove this graphic right now because this is with regards to the State Bank of India, and State Bank of India had made a mention. Now, on your screens, this is what we're going to stay with. In fact, these are the letters. These are multiple letters that were actually used, and we can also fire the breaking coming in that these were the letters. These were the letters that were basically used by the Chinese banks. In fact, the Chinese banks had written to Anil Ambani. Can we please go back to the letters right now, and the breaking news now coming in as far as the letters are concerned. In fact, these are multiple letters. Also, fire the breaking news now coming in. The breaking news here is with regards to at least 5 letters that were written by the Chinese banks to Anil Ambani. On your screens right now, those letters have been accessed. Letter number 1, which is dated on 10th of August 2017, when personal guarantee was invoked for $925 million US. On your screens right now, this is the letter that was written by ICBC, which is basically the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Limited. They had written a letter to Anil Ambani, where they are referring to the personal guarantee for the $925 million facility that was advanced by the China Development Bank, Export-Import Bank of China, and the Industrial Commercial Bank of China, and this money that was basically given by the Reliance Communication. The second letter, the follow-up letter that has gone in, was on 13th of October 2016, when the bank claims 5 previous letters were already sent. On your screens right now, it's the Chinese chase that we are talking about. Repeated notices were regarding the payment default. Now, all of this basically indicates that there was an escalation as far as the recovery communication is concerned. In fact, there was a mention of it in the litigations that had taken place in London, and Anil Ambani was hoping that this would actually pass. In fact, there was layering of funds that were done, effectively meaning that you are basically getting a set of money from a consortium of banks as far as Indian lenders are concerned, pushing that money out of India, in fact, to related companies. And in fact, the Enforcement Directorate in some of its documents also makes a mention of the fact that this had actually gone to what we are given to understand in China. Whether at all this was to repay the loans that he had taken from the Chinese bank, that is still not known at this point in time, and is part of the investigation that has been carried out. Let me also now take you through some more details before we prepare for the next breaking news now coming in, and I'm going to take you through 2 special reports in a short while from now. A quick recap of what we know so far in terms of this investigation that has been carried out. Full-fledged documents that have been accessed by Republic TV right now clearly goes on to indicate that money was actually coming in for a certain purpose, but it seems that it was being diverted by Anil Ambani. In fact, it has been diverted to related parties. In fact, this is part of the 68-page document that has been accessed by Republic TV. That's the first big news that we're getting to you tonight on This Is Exclusive. Well, in fact, let me now take you through the other special story that we are getting to you tonight on This Is Exclusive. Now, the skies over the Pokhran field firing ranges were basically set to witness a breathtaking display of bravery, precision, as well as air dominance. Now, in a spectacle that echoes the spirit of Operation Sindoor, the Indian Air Force has prepared to roar high above the desert and sands with powerful images now coming in, including representational drone formations as well as combat simulations capturing the scale and the intensity of modern aerial warfare. As the Indian Air Force gears up for Vayu Shakti 2026, this will not just be a firepower demonstration, but a statement of strength. From land to space weapon systems to precision bombing runs targeting enemy formations, the show will underline India's rapid response capability and technological edge. In fact, this is a special report coming in from the preparations of the Vayu Shakti, a special report coming in from my colleague Swarali.
Bravery and precision of Operation Sindoor to uproar high in the skies of Pokhran field firing range. As Indian Air Force to demonstrate its might and strength in Vayu Shakti 2026. Impactful visuals of land to space range weapons bombing enemy jets. One of the largest combat shows of Asia, Indian Air Force as the fastest and the fiercest responder to the enemy. Set to stage India's vigilant advanced weapons systems and fighter fleet coordinated operations, including Rafale, Jaguar, Mirage 2000, MiG-29, and short-range loitering munitions Akash Spider amongst others. With the airspace supremacy at play by the air warriors, its clear declaration to the world of New Age Bharat. Drones show visuals of Himalaya, India map, soldier and indigenous tech. One that never starts but indefinitely finishes the war. The ability of Indian Air Force to operate in multiple domains and deliver with indigenous technologies. A fierce promise that helps 140 million necks higher. Combined visuals of entire show. And last shot visual of drone show. IAF logo made by drones.
Well, in fact, Republic TV witnessed this entire exercise that was carried out by the Indian Air Force. Now, this report that you are seeing comes in from my colleague Swarali, who spent almost 48 hours with the Indian Air Force to get a sense of what exercise Vayu Shakti really means. Take a look.
Vayu Shakti 2026, one of the largest combat shows of Indian Air Force, staging mighty prowess of air and land-based weapon systems, networked environments and coordinated operations. Let me tell you, this is supposed to be executed at the Pokhran field firing range, which you can see behind me, located in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer, near Rajasthan's Jaisalmer, which is a very important strategic location for the Indian Air Force and the aspirations of Indian subcontinent and the national borders. Now, let me tell you, air warriors will stage this strength with Rafale, Tejas, Sukhoi 30, MiG-29, Mirage 2000 and others. On the other hand, advanced weapon systems like Akash and Spider will also be demonstrated. The operation of them will be demonstrated. And this is supposed to be executed between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is a 4-hour show, and very, very important. The precision of Indian Air Force is going to be executed. Also, success of Operation Sindoor.
Well, in fact, you saw that Air Force exercise being carried out in Jaisalmer. Let me take you on the edge of India's western frontier, where our brave soldiers stand guard day and night. The Indian Army's Western Command basically today showcased its unmatched combat readiness and lethal precision. Meanwhile, in a strong address, Western Army Commander highlighted the significance of last year's operation, particularly emphasizing Operation Sindoor, saying that the army gave a befitting response during that entire operation. He warned that if Pakistan attempts any conflict again, India will ensure they are taught a hard lesson.
On the edge of India's western frontier, where our courage has been tested time and again, the Western Command of the Indian Army lays bare its unmatched combat readiness. From Dhyan Chand Stadium in Pathankot, a demonstration of power and precision unfolds. The Bhairav Battalion, a unit at the cutting edge of ground warfare, stands shoulder to shoulder with the Ashni platoon, the Indian Army's aerial power. Apache helicopters, intelligence and surveillance vehicles, and state-of-the-art counter-drone systems display a combat network built for the 21st century battlefield. Every tank, every drone, every system is not just hardware, it's a statement emphasizing that India is prepared and India is vigilant. Meanwhile, as Western Army commander, Lieutenant General Manoj Kumar Katiyar, addressed the nation, he honored the heroes of Operation Sindoor, the campaign that delivered a decisive, resounding response to cross-border provocations. In his address, the Western Army commander laid emphasis on how crucial last year was and how the army gave Pakistan a befitting reply in Operation Sindoor. He warned sternly that if Pakistan attempts again, India will teach them a hard lesson. He also asserted that the danger is not over yet, and this time preparations are heavier than ever.
सिंदूर में जैसा आपने देखा कि हमने 7 तारीख को उनके सभी टेररिस्ट बेसिस पर हमला किया था। उसके बाद उन्होंने कुछ जवाबी कार्रवाई की और उसके जवाब में जो हमने उनके मिलिट्री बेसिस, एयर बेसिस को जिस तरह से बर्बाद किया, उसके बाद उसने फिर सीज़ फायर की मांग की। और सीज़ फायर की मांग सिर्फ डायरेक्टली हमसे नहीं की, हमको लगता है कि और भी देशों के पास उसने अपना ये मैसेज भेजा कि हमें इंडिया से सीज़ फायर करवा दो। नहीं, हम उसकी जहाँ भी इस तरह की हरकतें हैं, कार्रवाई हैं, हम उस पर पूरा नज़र रखे हुए हैं और हमको इस बात का ज्ञान है कि वहाँ पर क्या कार्रवाई हो रही है, वो किस तरीके से अपना टेररिस्ट बेसिस को अगर रिजुविनेट कर रहा है या दोबारा से इकट्ठा करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, तो हमें उसकी जानकारी हासिल है।
Across the border, Pakistan's military leadership clings to relevance by conflict, by exploiting terror proxies, and also by reviving terrorist networks.
पाकिस्तान आर्मी का सपोर्ट है, हमको लगता है कि इन्फिल्ट्रेट कराने में पाकिस्तान आर्मी भी सपोर्ट कर रही है और जो टेररिस्ट ट्रेन होकर आ रहे हैं, हो सकता है उनकी ट्रेनिंग में भी पाकिस्तान आर्मी मदद कर रही है।
Yet time and again, they underestimate the Indian Army's reach and resolve. On the other hand, Operation Sindoor was surgical, precise and decisive. Terror bases were neutralized. Pakistani military installations were heavily targeted. Sindoor 2.0 is being meticulously prepared, deeper, faster, stronger. From drone systems at Western Command to tactical innovations within the Bhairav Battalion.
पिछली बार जो हमने किया, इस बार हम कुछ और करेंगे, उससे बढ़कर करेंगे। किस हद तक करेंगे और कितना अंदर जाकर करेंगे, ये ऑपरेशनल प्लान का डिटेल है। तो जब ये ग्राउंड पर होगा, आपको महसूस होगा कि इस बार जो हुआ है वो पहले से ज़्यादा हुआ।
Remember how Pakistan was in fear, how Shehbaz Sharif was seen worried, and how he went on prostrate and begged for a ceasefire.
जो हमारा पाकिस्तान से बातचीत हुआ था, 7 तारीख को हमले के बाद हमारे डीजीएमओ ने मैसेज भेजा था कि हमने अपनी कार्रवाई पूरी कर ली है, अभी हम बात करना चाहते हैं, पर उसने उस समय बात करने से इनकार किया। और उसके बाद जैसा आपको पता है, अगले 88 घंटे जो लड़ाई हुई और उसके बाद उसने फिर हमको अप्रोच किया। जब उसके मिलिट्री बेसिस पर बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ, तो उसके डीजीएमओ ने फिर हमारे डीजीएमओ को अप्रोच किया कि हम बात करना चाहते हैं।
Meanwhile, speaking on US President Donald Trump, claiming that Shehbaz Sharif would have died if he did not mediate, the army commander said this. From the skies above to the land beneath, the Indian Army integrates intelligence, surveillance, and cutting-edge defense systems. Where Pakistan relies on bluff and terror, India relies on innovation, preparedness, and the unyielding valor of its forces. Operation Sindoor was a warning. Today, the Indian Army's might is on display, and a clear message has been sent to Pakistan.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना। लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
Premium Plus by Century ProWood.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
The trail, the evidence, the circuitous links. The deepest investigation into the Anil Ambani fraud. Arnab breaks part 1 of the Anil Ambani scam at 8 p.m. tonight.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Republic TV and this is what is trending tonight at 7:30 p.m. with me, Gesu Bharadwaj. Now, we've brought you a plethora of stories from phone screens to big screens. Trending stories are everywhere and we're not letting you miss out on anything that's topping the charts. Number 1. We're looking at Stephen Hawking and his role in the Epstein files. There are certain pictures that have floated on the internet, very controversial ones. The second story that we're moving on is the Kerala story to now. In the latest, the Kerala High Court has said that the film cannot be aired without the audience watching it first, the court audience. The third story now that we're moving on to on Trending Tonight is the Jammu and Kashmir budget versus the International Monetary Fund bailout. What's happening in that? We'll take a close look. In fact, the fourth story on cards is how the Congress party has now paid an influencer to run down artificial intelligence, a huge hoax that we will uncover on Trending Tonight. The fifth story that we're working with is Kim's daughter to be the next successor. We're talking North Korea and we're talking about his teen daughter. But from what pictures reflect, she really could be. Starting first with the top story for the evening. Now viewers, a newly surfaced photo of legendary
Now viewers, a newly surfaced photo of legendary physicist Stephen Hawking from the latest Epstein file disclosures is triggering global chatter, but his family is firmly setting the record straight. The image, dating back to a 2006 quantum cosmology conference in the Caribbean, shows Hawking reclining poolside, smiling and holding a drink, flanked by two bikini-clad women. Online speculation quickly followed, with social media drawing sensational conclusions. But Hawking's family has issued a clear clarification, claiming that the women were his long-time professional caregivers from the UK, as he lived with advanced motor neuron disease. The family has strongly dismissed any insinuations as wrong and far-fetched, stressing that the image is being taken out of context amid renewed scrutiny of Epstein-linked events. Meanwhile, viewers, the Epstein files fallout has now reached Davos. World Economic Forum President Borge Brende has resigned with immediate effect after disclosures revealed past contact with Jeffrey Epstein. An internal probe found Brende maintained communication and even attended business dinners with Jeffrey Epstein years after his conviction, though no wrongdoing has been alleged. Brende says he stopped down to prevent distraction to the WEF's work as the Davos body moves to contain reputational damage amid the widening Epstein document revelations. Now viewers, for the second thing that we're tracking on Trending tonight, now in a major setback for the makers of Kerala Story 2, the Kerala High Court has halted the film's theatrical release just a day before it was set to hit the big screens. Justice Bechu Kurian Thomas granted an interim stay, reportedly for up to 15 days or until further hearings, raising serious questions over the CBFC's decision to grant the film an adult certificate. The court observed that the board may have failed to properly apply its mind to the film's content and its potential social impact, as petitioners warned of misinterpretation of Kerala, threats to communal harmony, and damage to the state's reputation. The court has also barred the makers from releasing or transferring or even distribution rights during the stay, while notices have been issued to the centre, CBFC, and the producers. The controversial sequel, which portrays women being lured into interfaith marriages and forced conversions, has faced backlash since its trailer launch. With the film now on hold and the CBFC under scrutiny, the makers are expected to move a higher bench, making this legal and political flashpoint far from over. Viewers, now at the UN Human Rights Council, India turned up the heat on Pakistan with a sharp reality check over Jammu and Kashmir. Exercising the right to reply, India's representative Anupama Singh dismissed Islamabad's claims as misinformation and said Pakistan must be living in la land if it cannot see the scale of development in the region. The standout jab is Jammu and Kashmir's development budget is over rupees 1 lakh crore, is more than double Pakistan's recent International Monetary Fund bailout package. A contrast, it says, reflects growth on one side and economic distress on the other. Reaffirming its position, India told the UN body that Jammu and Kashmir was, is and will always remain an integral part of India, adding that the only outstanding issue is Pakistan's illegal occupation of parts of Indian territory. In a forum known for diplomatic restraint, the message from India was blunt, focused on your internal crisis, not propaganda to Pakistan.
India is compelled to exercise its right of reply in response to references made to it during the high-level segment by Pakistan and the OIC. We categorically reject these allegations. The OIC, by parroting Pakistan's propaganda, only reveals how deeply it has allowed itself to be co-opted by one member, reducing itself to an echo chamber for one country's political compulsions. Pakistan's incessant propaganda now reeks of envy. We have no desire to dignify such propaganda, however, we'll make a few points to dismantle it with facts. Jammu and Kashmir was, is, and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. No amount of wishful rhetoric or audacious propaganda by Pakistan can alter the immutable fact that the accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India was completely legal and irrevocable, and in accordance with Indian Independence Act of 1947 and the international law. In fact, the only outstanding dispute regarding this region is the illegal occupation of Indian territories by Pakistan. We call upon Pakistan to vacate these areas which remain under its forcible occupation. Mr. President, it is indeed hard to take lectures on democracy from a country where civilian governments rarely complete their terms. They ring hollow. The record voter turnout in general elections and assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir is a testimony to the fact that people of Jammu and Kashmir have rejected the ideology of terrorism and violence propagated by Pakistan and are surging ahead on the path of development and democracy. Mr. President, if the Chenab Rail Bridge, the world's highest bridge inaugurated in Jammu and Kashmir last year, is fake, then Pakistan must be hallucinating or living in the La La Land. Or maybe Pakistan finds it unbelievable that the developmental budget of Jammu and Kashmir is more than double the recent bailout package they sought from the IMF. Mr. President, to conclude, despite Pakistan's efforts to destabilize the region through relentless state-sponsored terrorism, Jammu and Kashmir continues to surge ahead, politically, economically, and socially. Pakistan would do well if it focuses on fixing its deepening internal crisis than to mask them with grandstanding at such platform. The world can certainly see through its charade.
Viewers, did we promise to not let you miss out on anything that's trending tonight? Here's a look at other stories that are topping the charts. These are hot trends for you. Take a look. Japan has unveiled an AI-powered robot monk that can chant scriptures, answer life questions, and also guide visitors. As temples face a shortage of human monks, spirituality is getting a high-tech companion. At 501 kilometers per hour, the future felt within reach. During his visit to Japan, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath experienced the cutting-edge SCMA GLEV train in Yamanashi, a next-generation high-speed system that can exceed 500 kilometers per hour. Calling it a glimpse into tomorrow's infrastructure, Adityanath highlighted how technology at this scale brings the future closer than ever. Because when innovation moves this fast, progress is no longer a promise, it's already on the track. China is turning morning drills into dance floors as students now perform exercises to high-energy techno-boosting focus, fitness and viral appeal in one synchronized move. Lakshadweep saw a powerful show of joint forces as India conducted exercise Kalari Leap. Air, sea and special forces moved in sync, sending a clear message of maritime readiness. Nine months before release, Ramayana Part 1 has already lit up Los Angeles. A first-cut screening drew rave reactions for its epic sail, jaw-dropping VFX and rooted storytelling, signaling Bollywood's boldest mythological spectacle yet. A routine red light turned into a nightmare in Omaha, Nebraska, when a massive sinkhole suddenly opened, swallowing an SUV and pickup in seconds. No major injuries have been reported, but the shocking visuals are a reminder. Sometimes the road literally gives way. In Colombia, a mud volcano erupted in a fiery spectacle, flames shooting sky high as flammable gases ignited. No human casualties, but livestock lost. Vegetation burned and roads cracked, nature's warning shot loud and clear. In Japan, young students welcomed Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath with a namaskar, Sanskrit shlokas, and even Hindi introductions. A cultural moment that signals India's soft power is traveling well beyond its physical borders. Meera Rajput melted Instagram with a romantic birthday tribute to Shahid Kapoor, calling him the love of her life. From cozy hugs to beachside PDA, Bollywood's power couple served pure relationship goals. "30 years after Heat, the sequel is finally heating up. Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale team up for Heat 2 with Michael Mann back in the director's chair, and fans already calling it a crime epic of the decade. Viewers, now India's political slugfest has entered the creator economy. Several influencers now claim they were approached by Congress-linked handlers and offered 10,000 to 25,000 rupees per reel to post negative content about the India AI Summit, branding it useless and pro-corporate. Screenshots and testimonies circulating online suggest a coordinated pitch with scripted talking points. Meanwhile, the Congress has not issued an official response, and the claims remain unverified. But the controversy is already snowballing across social media. From campaign rallies to content calendars, the fight for narrative control is shifting to reels, reach, and the power of algorithm.
मैंने बेवकूफ लोग देखा है, बहुत बेवकूफ लोग देखा है, पर कोई भी कांग्रेस की पीआर टीम से क्लोज नहीं आ पाया. दे हैव सेंट मी अ टेक्स्ट, मी जो उनकी 4 दिन से बुराई कर रहा है, उसे उन्होंने टेक्स्ट भेजा है कि यार आप थोड़ी बुराई कर दो एआई समिट की कि कितना घटिया मिसमैनेजमेंट था. हाँ जी, मिसमैनेजमेंट तो था, पर वो आपकी तरफ से था, हमारी तरफ से नहीं था. रिसर्च कर लेते थोड़ा, मेरी आईडी में 2 दिन वीडियो देख लेते मैम. बट हाँ, रिसर्च फ्रॉम कांग्रेस, आई एम ओनली डन दैट आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग इट फ्रॉम यू ऑल. तो ये पीआर तो चलेगा नहीं आपका. थैंक यू सो मच. मैंने बेवकूफ लोग देखा है, बहुत बेवकूफ लोग देखा है, पर कोई भी कांग्रेस की पीआर टीम से क्लोज नहीं आ पाया. दे हैव सेंट मी अ टेक्स्ट, मी जो उनकी 4 दिन से बुराई कर रहा है, उसे उन्होंने टेक्स्ट भेजा है कि यार आप थोड़ी बुराई कर दो एआई समिट की कि कितना घटिया मिसमैनेजमेंट था. हाँ जी, मिसमैनेजमेंट तो था, पर वो आपकी तरफ से था, हमारी तरफ से नहीं था. रिसर्च कर लेते थोड़ा, मेरी आईडी में 2 दिन वीडियो देख लेते मैम. बट हाँ, रिसर्च फ्रॉम कांग्रेस, आई एम ओनली डन दैट आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग इट फ्रॉम यू ऑल. तो ये पीआर तो चलेगा नहीं आपका. थैंक यू सो मच.
हद ही हो गई. मैंने गलगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी को क्रिटिसाइज करके आई समिट पे एक वीडियो क्या बना दिया. मुझे लिटरली ये मैसेज आया और इसके बाद कॉल भी आया है कि क्या आप हमारे लिए एक वीडियो बना सकते हो कांग्रेस पीआर टीम की तरफ से, जिसमें आप मोदी जी को क्रिटिसाइज करो कि मोदी जी ने एआई समिट में पैसा वेस्ट करा है और एआई समिट सिर्फ उनके पीआर के लिए रखा गया. भाई एटलीस्ट उन लोगों को तो मैसेज करते जो तुम्हारे लॉयल चमचे हैं, हम लोगों को क्यों. मतलब ये कांग्रेस वाले सिर्फ गलगोटिया की गलती की वजह से पूरे एआई समिट को ही बदनाम करने का प्रोपेगेंडा चला रहे हैं, जैसे वहां कोई जेन्युइन इनोवेशंस तो थे ही नहीं.
ये पूरा सोचा समझा प्रयोग है, ये कोई संयोग नहीं है. और ऐसे लोग, अब हो सकता है कुछ लोग पैसे के लिए चक्कर में गिर जाएं, तो अगर आपको ऐसी कोई रील दिखे जहां पे एआई समिट को गलत बताया जा रहा है और बोला जा रहा है कि कैसे पैसे वेस्ट हो रहे हैं, ये सब, मतलब जहां देश एआई नेक्स्ट फ्यूचर है और इंडिया पहले इसकी सीरियसनेस समझ गया है और पहली बार स्टेप ले रहा है. अपने टाइम में तो इन्होंने कुछ काम किया नहीं, सब कुछ भगवान भरोसे छोड़ दिया. कोई जमीन कब्जा कर रहा है तो जमीन दे दो, वहां कुछ उगता नहीं है. चाहे नाना दादा पिताजी माताजी सब ने कल्याण ऐसे किया, और 15 साल में जो इतने बड़े चेंजेस आ रहे हैं देश में, उसके ऊपर ये पानी फेरना चाह रहे हैं. तो बहुत ही शर्म की बात है यार. स्क्रीनशॉट मैंने आपको दिखा दिया, लगा दिया, आप खुद ही देख लो, बताना. मुझे तो बहुत ही गुस्सा आ रहा है इस बात पे, और बहुत ही, क्या बताऊं, इस फीलिंग को मैं एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पा रहा. मैं सैड भी हूं और गुस्सा भी हूं साथ साथ.
Viewers, now North Korea's Power Theatre is getting a new face, and she is just 13. Kim Jong-un's daughter, Kim Joo-a, has once again stepped into the global spotlight, walking the red carpet beside her father at a massive military parade in Pyongyang. The striking detail, Father and daughter duo, both in matching black leather coats, a signature symbol of authority in North Korean political imagery. In a regime where symbolism speaks louder than words, Joo-ae dressing like the supreme leader signals one thing, a carefully staged glimpse of the future. And according to reports, it has already hinted that she's being groomed as successor. And now reports suggest the teenager has been given an official role in the missile administration, tying her image directly to North Korea's most powerful military program. From parade platforms to strategic posts, the message from Pyongyang is subtle but unmistakable. The Kim dynasty may already be preparing its next ruler. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up tonight's edition, here's a power-packed glimpse of India's aerial might on the horizon. The Indian Air Force is all set to unleash its firepower at Vayu Shakti 2026 in Pokhran in Rajasthan. After a flawless full-dress rehearsal, air warriors stand mission-ready, targets blocked, precision assured. On the 27th of February, witness the sky roar with courage, technology and unmatched combat precision. Until then, keep your eyes on the skies because India's air power is ready to soar.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना. लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है. यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां.
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ.
8 मिनट में तैयार.
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला.
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो.
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस. विद यू लाइक फैमिली. विद यू ऑलवेज.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला. स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार. MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to play the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visuals then and now, ladies and gentlemen. Then and now. Look at that and now. Ladies and gentlemen, a SpiceJet plane catches fire in mid-air in December.
Was there a paid campaign to defame the AI summit? BJP claims political collab using influencers. BJP versus Congress fight over influencers is the debate tonight at 9 p.m. Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा, राजा और मसाला. मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो.
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की. सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना. लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है. यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां.
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to play the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की. सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना. लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है. यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां.
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड.
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च। मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ, 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप, जीरा सिप, MDH का जल जीरा सिप, जीरा सिप, MDH का जल जीरा सिप। मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
Was there a paid campaign to defame the AI summit? BJP claims political collab using influencers. BJP versus Congress fight over influencers is the debate tonight at 9 p.m.
प्रदीप जी, ये 8 साल का बच्चा कोमा में है। पुलिस 5 दिन से कुछ नहीं कर पाई है अभी तक। वो जो पिस्टल है, लाइसेंस पिस्टल है, वो तक बरामद नहीं कर पाई है। आपके ही विधानसभा के लोग हैं सर, जवाब मांग रहे हैं आपसे। प्रदीप जी, एक जवाब, आपके ही लोग हैं, आपसे बात। सर, एक बच्चा 8 साल का, आप बिल्कुल आप भोजन कर लीजिएगा। एक 8 साल का
अपराधी है, उसमें उसको सजा मिलेगी। पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज करा ली, वो लश्कर करेगी।
सर, 5 दिन हो गए बच्चा।
कोई बात नहीं है ना, पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज कर ली ना।
अभी 5 दिन में क्योंकि अभी तक उनको वो लाइसेंस वेपन है वो भी बरामद।
विधानसभा में चली, विधानसभा से आई तो माता वैष्णो देवी चले गए। अभी कल लौटे, कल उसके परिवार के लोग आए थे।
आपकी उनके परिवार वालों से अभी तक बात हो पाई?
कल उन परिवार में संस्कार आया था, मेरे को नहीं पता कोई परिवार में है, लेकिन मैंने उनसे कहा कि जो भी मदद हुई करेगी।
Was there a paid campaign to defame the AI summit? BJP claims political collab using influencers. BJP versus Congress fight over influencers is the debate tonight at 9 p.m.
प्रदीप जी, ये 8 साल का बच्चा कोमा में है। पुलिस 5 दिन से कुछ नहीं कर पाई है अभी तक। वो जो पिस्टल है, लाइसेंस पिस्टल है, वो तक बरामद नहीं कर पाई है। आपके ही विधानसभा के लोग हैं सर, जवाब मांग रहे हैं आपसे। प्रदीप जी, एक जवाब, आपके ही लोग हैं, आपसे बात। सर, एक बच्चा 8 साल का, आप बिल्कुल आप भोजन कर लीजिएगा। एक 8 साल का
अपराधी है, उसमें उसको सजा मिलेगी। पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज करा ली, वो लश्कर करेगी।
सर, 5 दिन हो गए बच्चा।
कोई बात नहीं है ना, पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज कर ली ना।
अभी 5 दिन में क्योंकि अभी तक उनको वो लाइसेंस वेपन है वो भी बरामद।
विधानसभा में चली, विधानसभा से आई तो माता वैष्णो देवी चले गए। अभी कल लौटे, कल उसके परिवार के लोग आए थे।
आपकी उनके परिवार वालों से अभी तक बात हो पाई?
कल उन परिवार में संस्कार आया था, मेरे को नहीं पता कोई परिवार में है।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, I bring you details of the massive scam that has been organized by Anil Ambani. We will be breaking this scam in two parts today. Anil Ambani scam part 1 today. Anil Ambani scam part 2 tomorrow. And at 9 p.m. tonight, huge controversy. Was there an attempt, as alleged by the BJP, for the Congress to pay influencers to run down the AI summit? Let me tell you about the Anil Ambani scam. Firstly, Anil Ambani is not a failed businessman. He is much more than that. I personally call him a financial scam mastermind. If you look at the way he's carried out the scam, he's not a person who's made one mistake leading to another. He's knowingly made a series of mistakes in the hope that he'll cover up for everything and run away with the money. He's not a financial wizard. He's a financial scamster. That's what I call the junior Ambani. You can't feel sorry for him. You can't call him a drifter, a spendthrift. You can't do that because if you look at the reality and you look at the entire number of lenders and the amount of money he's taken from everyone, he has defrauded almost 60 to 70% of India's financial system. The biggest of names, State Bank of India, LIC, Canara Bank, and over 30 other Indian banking and lending agencies and entities are among 39 lenders in all to whom he owes a minimum of 40,000 crore rupees. The problem, however, the real crime of Anil Ambani, which is why he's a bit of a financial criminal, is not that he owes the money. The real crime of Anil Ambani is that having taken the money, he tried his best, like a financial criminal, of disowning any responsibility, trying to create a layer between himself and his own lenders. But Anil Ambani, even that has been exposed now because we have documents with Anil Ambani's personal signature on them, where he took personal responsibility for returning the money. Remember, this was his signature. This is his ownership, which means he took the responsibility. But what did he do, ladies and gentlemen, after that? He did something very dangerous. As I break details of the Anil Ambani scam, remember all the scams we've broken in the past. I can tell you he outdoes everyone. Suresh Kalmadi, 2G scam, Devas ISRO, Kargil for profit, Adarsh. But this man is worse than all of the politicians put together. Now, the Republic Network has details of the contents of a secret Apple file accessed by the investigating agencies. This is an Apple file, and as per the contents of this Apple file, Anil Ambani was setting up different trusts in which he and his ex-actress wife, Tina Munim, and 2 sons were beneficiaries. Among other things, these trusts controlled a property worth 3,700 crore plus in Pali Hill in Mumbai. Ladies and gentlemen, the Apple file I have with me shows, and I have the full number of the file, everything, that Anil Ambani was working very closely with some advisors to get out of his financial mess by routing funds taken from lenders for his business to create a pool of personal wealth and ill-gotten fortune. And there is one more angle, viewers. Anil Ambani was taking the money in India and sending it to UK. Taking the money in India and sending it to China because by now he was overladen with money from here and there. He was a professional criminal by now, financial criminal, taking money from here and there, routing it and thinking he's extra smart. Actually, Anil Ambani is not extra smart. Anil Ambani thought he was extra smart, but he's extra stupid. He took the equivalent of 13,538 crores minimum from Chinese banks in 2012. This is the time he was trying to be a Hollywood producer. What a fool. And then he took that Chinese money from a consortium. To pay them, he took money from a consortium of Indian banks. And when he couldn't pay even that, he planned to set up a pool of money for himself and his family members while washing his hands off his corporate loans. Now, if this is not a scam, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what is a scam? This is a classical scam. My question is, how did this man, even dream of entering the defense sector of India? Who allowed him? Did nobody, including the French defense company Dassault, the makers of Rafale, do any due diligence while thinking about him as a partner for their defense business in India? What was he doing around 2016-17? Why was he being allowed entry? Who gave him entry? Was he given entry into the political establishment in a direct or indirect way, or did he falsely show high-level political contacts to swing mega deals in 2016? Because, ladies and gentlemen, around 2016 was when he was trying to do business with Rafale makers Dassault. This is the time the Chinese were already chasing him for overdue money. And exactly around the same time, an Indian banking consortium suddenly became his knight in shining armor, breaking all rules to help him. Is this possible? Who made this possible? And the nation does want to know the answer to this, that the banking consortium that went out of its way for the junior Ambani, these are the same banks who are ready to put an ordinary Indian citizen in jail if he owes them 1 lakh rupees and doesn't pay 1 month's EMI. How fair is that? Ladies and gentlemen, when I break financial scams, and I have done this for a long time, for at least over a decade and a half, my eventual goal is to ensure that these scamsters, political or corporate, do not loot the common man. But that is also a responsibility of the government, I say. It is also a responsibility of the government. I'm doing my part. Now, I have a document which says, and it's a government document, which says that Anil Ambani was allowed to take funds by SBI while not giving a personal guarantee, which is a basic certificate to avail a loan. Why did SBI allow that? Can that be a fault pinpointed to an individual junior or middle-level employee? I ask you tonight, will you get 50,000 rupees from the same PSU bank without a guarantee? So my point is, something is not adding up about Anil Junior Ambani. And I'm not saying this with any comment on his Epstein business. Remember, I'm not making a single comment on Epstein. I've not even come to Epstein yet. All I'm saying is that the shady Anil Ambani saw the shady Jeffrey Epstein as another way to make another round of quick money that he could roll over. Two shady, very shady men rolling the dice together, hoping to live the fast life. One finished. Anil Ambani, one is finished, and you're trying to avoid go to jail. I'll wrap this up by saying that the Anil Ambani scam is going to be followed and broken by the Republic Media Network, even though I'm fully aware that the rest of the pink media should go pink, blushing at the way in which it is not reporting about Anil Ambani. The so-called business journalists who live on PR feeds should know that nobody has any faith in them anymore. But forget the sold-out media. It is time the central government realizes that Anil Ambani has, even in public perception, got away for too long, too far, and too unchecked. His game is up. Anil Ambani, listen to me. Your goose is cooked. This is Anil Ambani scam part 1 tonight. Part 2 tomorrow. And any number of parts till justice is served. Let's debate.
Around 2010, 2011, when he was 53 years old, Anil Ambani was living the Hollywood life. He was getting photographed with Hollywood stars, walking the red carpet, and positioning himself as the Richie Rich of India who wanted to fund an Oscar. But he needed big money for that. Chinese money was cheap and plentiful.